Me, Cinthia, and Jeanna decided to do Portugal as our country for our cultural project. We started here with an introduction. We were ready to start this. So we were wanting to know if you knew that the Portugal people can be touchy or that there's many places to visit. Also, did you know that the Portugal dollar equals to 75 euros? We did not know that before we started this project. We also learned that there's many beautiful places to visit in Portugal, and that the Portugal people can be touchy in the first meet and greet, or they can be standoffish. We never knew that the dollar amount was so close to euros, and that is something that we have learned along the way. And as students, we will be telling you more about these things. So we hope that you enjoy this presentation. So Cinthia is going to take over, and she's going to do her topics.
So my topics are on currency and exchange, and in Portugal, $1 equals 75 cents, as we just said. It's not much of a difference, and a euro is divided into 100 cents. So we have the 10, the 1, the 2, the 5, 10, 20, 50, and then we have 1 euro and 2 euros, so up to 50 is cents, and then we have notes, which are like dollar bills, and they start off at 5, 10, 20, 50, and then they go up to 100, 200, and 500. And in Portugal, there are ATM machines that are available 24/7, so you don't have to worry about going to a bank and having them close early. And they accept any kind of Visa card, MasterCard, or American Express. And in Portugal, you always have to remember that tipping is very common over there. And in a restaurant, the bill is always included with the tip, but you always tip 5 to 10% more. And even also your taxi, you tip 5 to 10% or to the nearest euro. And my next topic is appropriate business attire. And men are to dress in a business suit, which is shown here. And women also are to dress in a business suit. As you can tell down there, there's not really much of a difference in how they dress. It's pretty much all formal. These are really formal and conservative. And upstairs, mostly for like social events, they're really up to date in their fashion sense. So you will always see them to date with every fashion trend that changes. And when socializing, Portuguese people are very social and touchy, like Jeanna, Samantha just said. They like to kiss in the cheek when they greet, and but they're also really formal if they don't know you that much. And now we're going to go on to gender roles. And gender roles in Portugal is very conservative. They are very private about their problems. And as you can tell here, there's only men. And in Portugal, since they're so conservative, a lot of men only do a lot of the business side of the communication. And foreign businesswomen are treated fairly and respectfully. And traditional companies like to keep women away from businesses because of the conservative point of view. And as a woman, if you were to go on a business trip, never invite a man to a bar. For lunch, it's okay, but for dinner or a bar, it's unrespectful. And always invite the wife along if you are going to do a dinner or a bar. And Portuguese men will never let a woman pay for anything, so you can ask politely to pay for it, but chances are they won't let you. And men are treated all the same in the U.S. as in here as in Portugal. You can have dinner and lunch with them without having your wife included. It's just men are treated more fairly between men and women. It's still a progress with them to have women included in the business world. So I'm going to pass it to Samantha with her topic.
So my first topic is the perspective on time and space for the Portugal people. When I was looking this up, I found many things that I never knew about before. So in some situations, the Portugal people may just want to be an arm length away from you when they first meet you, just for their personal space. Sometimes when men meet, they will shake hands and sometimes hug. Women will kiss from the left cheek to the right cheek. And sometimes women will interlock their arms to the men while they're walking through the streets, just to, say, hey, this is mine, and we are, together, and this is what's going on. And public display of affection are considered normal to certain limitations. So like the kissing or the holding hands or locking arms in public is considered normal. When you are talking, you want to be considerate and not rude, and make eye contact with the people so you can be showing that you are paying attention to them. Appointments and deadlines are to be kept. Sometimes being 5 minutes late is still considered on time in the Portugal area. And that mandatory meetings, when you want to make a meeting, you want to call at least 2 weeks in advance to make your meeting. And then when you are getting ready to do the meeting, you want to make another phone call a couple of days in advance, just to make sure that your meeting is still ready and you are ready to do it. So I'm going to move on to my next topic here, which is the basic language phrases that you may want to know. Many of the time you want to, say hello. When you say hello, you want to say, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. When you say goodbye, you want to say it formally, like goodbye instead of just bye, which is considered informal. When you say just bye, it's more when you are more acquainted with the people, as if you're not acquainted with them. So see you later is used for you if you are going to see that person later that day. So you don't say it just out of nowhere. If you're going to see that person later that day, then you'll say see you later. And you want to know other things that you want to know is things like, where's the bathroom? Do you speak English? Please, thank you, or I'm sorry if something happens. What's your name? Excuse me, or pleased to meet you. And sometimes with the Portugal people, when you're speaking Portuguese, words that ending with an A is normally spoken by women, and if you end it with an O, it's normally spoken by men. Just a few topics that you might want to know. So I'm going to move on to my last topic here, which is typical business transactions to plan for. So like I had mentioned in the time frame, you are going to want to make sure that you have your appointment set prior, about 2 weeks in advance, and to make sure to make that check-out phone call a couple days to make sure everything is still planned. Punctuality displays respect for people. So if you're meeting the people, you are to meet them, and if they keep you waiting, you don't want to be impatient, because that's just going to show rudeness to the Portuguese people, because sometimes they keep you waiting and it just happens, so you don't want to be rude to them. So before getting down to business, sometimes they will do a small conversation where they'll talk to you, get to know you, get to feel your personality and understand you more before they get down to business. This is just their way of getting to know you and understand everything that's going on. Presentations should be well thought out, thorough, and backed up with charts and figures just to make it more presentable. Decisions are not reached at meetings. So when you go into a meeting with Portugal people, do not expect a decision right then and there. While you are in a meeting with Portugal people, you want to maintain eye contact. It is very important to do that. If you do not do that, they will consider that rude. Also, another thing that they do is if there's interruptions, that is common. So don't be offended if they interrupt you during a meeting or during a presentation. And while you're at a meeting, a main thing to do is do not remove your jacket in the meeting unless your business associate does so as well. That is just another way of showing that you are being polite and not rude. So those are my topics today, and then we'll be moving everything on to Jeanna, and she will also do the conclusion.
Hi, my name is Jeanna Clarke, and I'm going to be talking to you about food, recreation, and entertainment options when visiting Portugal. There's a few places that are just a must-see when you go and visit, one of them being the El Capa Cafe. In the 14th century, it was regularly a chapel, and they transformed it into a candlelit cocktail lounge. Each week it's hosted by the city's most famous renowned musicians, and it's very, very popular. Another place to go visit is the Teatro Lazanes, originally built in 1603, but is adapted to a theater in 1987. The tiny little extraordinary theater hosts dance, drama, music performances daily. Another place, and it was rated #1, would be Restaurant Belanto. It says variety of exquisite meals and a long list of wines. Belanto is very, very nice, exquisite. It is the place to be seen in Portugal. Another place rated #2 by TripAdvisor would be Wine Bar do Alato, and they have a selection of Portuguese cheeses and handmade canned fish delights. They service over 150 wines by glass, and they're very, very exquisite. They don't serve any type of traditional meals. Another place that would be a must-see would be Casas. It's a coastal town about 20 miles west of Lisbon. The home to a small fishing village once in the 20th century has been turned into a tourist attraction. There's beautiful beaches there, surfing, sailing, anything you could imagine, shopping. It's wonderful. Some business customs to remember when you're doing business transaction with people in Portuguese would be, while doing business deals with Portuguese, you need to know that they're very traditional, conservative. They prefer face-to-face meetings. They don't like using the telephone, email. They're very, very formal. One of the ways they express themselves is extreme politeness. They're very, very nice to one another. They're very personal. Relationships are built with them between people. They're not built between businesses. To have a secure business deal with them, you have to have a secure relationship with them. They only do business with people that they're comfortable with, and so if they don't trust you and they're not comfortable with you, you're not going to have a successful business deal with them. Another thing would be business forms and letters. So when it comes to communicating, yes, they like to communicate through, face-to-face conversations. They don't really like to go through email or phones or do letters. But if you do write a letter, very, very similar to the American format, always start the letter with Dear Sir or Dear Madame. If you don't know how to address it, say Dear Sirs. When writing business letters, introductions are not expected, since you want to be, efficient and get straight to the point. In the body of the letter, stick to your point, be specific, talk about business, get right to the point. Also, when conducting the letter, stick to formal goodbyes. Portugal is a very, very beautiful place. A few things to remember on your trip would be to dress appropriately for every occasion. Make sure you're very on time, you're polite. Most importantly would be to build a relationship with your business partner that you're doing business with, because you need to gain their trust and be able to have a successful relationship and to do business with them. Also would be take time to enjoy Portugal. It's a beautiful place. There's lots of beautiful things to go see, beautiful people. And does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask?